Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Palantir is up 12% at the time that I'm recording this video. This is May 23rd, 2023. And currently Palantir has blown past expectations, going to $13.26. It started the day at around $11.93, broke the $12 barrier, started breaking above $12, got to $12.30, $12.70, and eventually it took a long time to break past 13, but now it went past 13 and it's at $13.25. My assumption is the reason for this rise is that there are some big institutions that are buying up shares. There is no way a stock moves up 11% that much in a day unless there's a massive short squeeze, or unless retail is just, there's something came out of the company and retail's like, we gotta get in this, and a horde of retail comes in. None of those catalysts have happened today. I don't think the short interest is what's causing this, and I don't think retail is buying at the level that could push a stock up 11% in a day. It's likely some institutional investors that are deciding, maybe it's Kathy, maybe it's some others, this is a position, this is something we want to establish, AI is the future, it seems like Palantir is the best option here, the narrative is changing a bit, they're gap profitable, blah, 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 S&P 500, and they're establishing a position. Let's see if 13, 12, 11 starts becoming the new floor for Palantir. Now, Palantir also released a press release today, and this is one of the press releases that I think is very important to understand. I'm going to go through the press release in a second, but we haven't gotten a press release from Palantir in terms of a new partnership with a company, I would say in about a month or two, or maybe even more than that. You know, we just had earnings, we had some government deals, but not a legit like commercial enterprise explaining why they're working with Palantir. This was one of those press releases that's short, to the point, and says exactly why the AIP platform may be one of those things that could be scaled across many, many industries, and as a result, be a very valuable thing for Palantir. Now, I don't think this press release is the reason that Palantir went up today, but it definitely highlights why Palantir and their AIP product might end up scaling and be really big for different businesses. CNA and Palantir developed artificial intelligence model to optimize the product purchasing and inventory restocking process. Now, for those that don't know what CNA is, it is a large Latin American fashion brand, one of the main fashion brands in Brazil, and they sell a lot of clothes. So from a supply chain perspective, restocking, stocking clothes, that is the entirety of their business, and any improvements to that ultimately improve their bottom line. Today, Palantir and CNA, one of the largest retail chains in the fashion world, announced the development of an integrated management flow system using the Palantir Foundry platform. The software helps increase CNA's ability to reinforce assertiveness and speed of inventory through alerts regarding restocking products in their portfolio of the best-selling pieces, optimizing the company's supply chain. A quote from the head of the business intelligence director: "We are the first Brazilian fashion brand to rely on this artificial intelligence technology. The flow developed allowed us to optimize and speed up the entire purchase process from the initial planning to sending the product to the stores. Among the significant gains, I'd highlight the increase of sales of products that were in stock and the reduction of unnecessary overstock." Now, let's analyze those two first paragraphs there, because already when I was reading this morning, I was just like, wow, before we get into the rest of the PR. Essentially, what the guy is saying is, hey, we are selling a hoodie, for example. That hoodie not only needs to be able to come from the distributor, which has a lot of supply chain processes involved in it and a lot of logistics plannings, in order to get to our retail stores, we need to know if that hoodie even sells. So what Foundry is doing two things. Number one, it's deciding and optimizing for what are the best-selling products, so that you have a overstock of products that you are selling, that are selling well, that you have good margins on. That's why he said the best-selling products. So you're making money on those products. And then a reduction of stuff that's not selling. So if the hoodie's selling, but the t-shirt's not selling, we need to be able to make data-driven decisions to optimize our business, to be able to understand, to get rid of that t-shirt, or at least not have as much inventory of it, because it's not flying off the shelves. But this hoodie, people are buying, which means, and we're getting a good margin on it. So we need to get as many hoodies as possible. Okay, boom. That's the first part. You know that the hoodie is selling and you need to get them. Now you need to do some planning to be able to make sure the hoodie is in stock, because you're a retail, you're just a retail store. You don't make the hoodie. There are people across the entire world where your supply chains are located that make the hoodie. So the second part of what Palantir's Foundry on top of AIP, or AIP on top of the Foundry software, is doing is being able to artificially recognize through an intelligence model, is this hoodie available at this time in this part of the world for this retail brand? Because in this demographic, in this part of Brazil, it's selling like hotcakes. And if we can tell the store managers, if we can tell the distributors that this is the case, can the business become more optimized, more efficient, more effective, ultimately make more money, because our software is informing them of what to do? And two reasons why I think this is so important, then we'll get back into the PR. Number one, this is one of the easiest ways to understand the software. That's why I love this PR this morning, because it's a retail brand. They're selling clothes. There's probably people that are watching here that have some side hustles that are selling different physical products. And if you knew that these people were buying in this location and these people are not buying this, and you could just manage your inventory through a basic workflow and understand and simulate scenarios in which you have the best ways to sell the inventory, that would optimize your business at a granular level and then ultimately at a macro level as you're expanding the pie. So that's the first reason I think this is important. Number two, what has Karp been saying? If you don't implement AI into your business in terms of building out an infrastructure for how AI informs your business decisions, you lose. Because other companies, CNA's competitors that are also selling hoodies, will just optimize their businesses. They'll make sure that their best-selling hoodie is in stock. So when people come to buy, they will definitely have that hoodie available for them. And then they're going to have a competitive advantage against you because they're going to be able to sell the products that you can't sell because you don't even know how to get those products in stock, because you don't even know which products are the best-selling. And so this is where I'm starting to see the real value of Foundry at a simple level for sort of a simple business. This is not the most advanced. And that's why I think this press release kind of is very easy to understand for the average person when it comes to Palantir. Over the course of 3 months, Palantir implemented the entire flow of ingestion, processing, and generating purchase recommendations for all best-selling products, including new models. The Foundry software reconciled numerous variables that influence long-term inventory planning, sales, seasonality, product performance variations, financial criteria, and other factors. Through this process, CNA identified several opportunities to improve inventory management of its bestsellers. So again, if you're implementing Palantir's software into your business and they're saying, okay, here are the best recommendations for your best-selling products. Here are the models that we're using. Here's all the data that you have in your company that is proprietary to your company, which is the differentiator for the large language models that Palantir implements within your business, which is why you have to keep the data secure. That's kind of the entire logic of what this AIP platform looks like. And then they're giving you the best recommendations on how to optimize and use the data that they've been able to reconcile for you to then sell more hoodies. That is where Palantir becomes incredibly valuable. And what business would not adopt that software, would not pay $5 million to sell $20 million of hoodies? I mean, this is one of those things that is just so obvious. The question is, can Palantir scale that across the entire world? Which, I'm taking a bet that they have a chance to be able to do that. Head of Palantir Latin America, Henrique Valor, says, we formed a digital twin of the company's logistics chain, giving the planning teams not only a complete view of the purchasing process, but also the power to quickly simulate new rules and scenarios and thus prevent extreme situations. That last part I think is very important because when he's talking about a digital twin, he's essentially talking about the ontology of the business, taking all the data that you have in the business, putting it together into one model, and then understanding what to do. When you're able to do that, you're able to stop extreme things from happening. You're able to not overstock. You're able to reduce the inventory that's not selling, and you're able to ultimately optimize the stuff that is selling. One of the things he said in that last quote was that we're giving planning teams a complete view of the purchasing process, but the power to quickly simulate new rules and scenarios. So what's an example of this? I mean, let's say there's a certain season in Brazil, I'll just call it winter off the top of my head, where you realize that a certain accessory that people tend to buy a lot in the summer is not being bought in the winter. But a year ago, for some reason, you're looking at a discrepancy, which is like, look, people buy this a lot in July, but for some reason they're buying this a lot in December. Why is this happening, right? This is not supposed to be selling in December, but it's selling in December right now. Well, maybe the reason is, I don't know. What if I put this data into Palantir? What if they ingest all of the external factors that I can't think about with my monkey brain because I'm not artificially intelligent? And then boom, you get an answer for why there is some level of variation for why the purchasing happens in December. What would that be? I'm not sure, but these are the advanced hypothetical simulations that this software is running for you to be able to make a decision that says, you know what? I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to decide that in December, I'm going to sell the same product that I usually only sell in July because last year, for some reason, it started to go up and we take account all these models. But guess what? Because it's still a risk, it's a summer product that I'm selling in winter. I have some data to know that it should sell in winter. I'm not going to over order because I'm not going to get overly optimistic that this will definitely sell in the winter when it's not supposed to sell in the winter because I understand, right? Given I'm making a data-driven decision. So I'm going to order a limited amount. And because I'm going to order a limited amount, I'm going to reduce the downside in case this year my decision goes south and that product decides not to sell in December. That's an example I'm making off on the top of my head. I could imagine trillions of different simulations that companies across the world, this is just for a fashion retail brand, think about at the highest level of enterprises and the things that they need to do for society, Fortune 500 companies, simulating these scenarios and then being able to make decisions on it. The last thing I'll say here is that this is what the new world is going to become. AI, as we are all talking about it in the context of businesses and enterprises, is going to unlock value. And so again, 10, 15 years ago, if you weren't on the internet, you didn't have access to like 2 billion people at the time, around 2005, 2010, that were starting to come onto the internet, that were potentially willing to purchase products, buy courses, engage with content. If you were not on the internet, this new thing that we created in humanity, you didn't have a shot. Now everyone's on the internet, but the internet's become so advanced, technology's become so advanced. If you are not implementing artificial intelligence technology in your business to be able to help you optimize, because everyone else is, to gain a competitive differentiation and actually be able to drive business intelligence, you are at a disadvantage. And if that is the future we are going into, this is the one question you have to ask yourself from a Palantir investment thesis. Do we think Palantir's products and services in the context of Foundry, AIP, Gotham, etc., are able to be implemented at scale to create the AI infrastructure? Not just like slap AI into the business, but create an infrastructure of AI to fundamentally digitally transform an entire organization, which is why BP used to charge, it used to cost them $14 a barrel to find oil. Now it's $6 because the entire organization embraced Palantir in order to have that culture of change. And now they've digitally optimized their supply chains, their ability to drill, all that stuff. If that's what Palantir is going to do for the world, and in this example, it's so funny because we're seeing it for a retail brand, then I think that's going to be incredibly valuable for Palantir. I'm checking the price right now as we get to the end of this video. Palantir is at $13.09, holding strong at 13. It got to 13, which is awesome. We had a morning live stream where we saw kind of this entire process happen live. I'll link that in the description if you want to see my live reaction from the stock going from 12 all the way up to 13. But that's where we're at right now. Overall, really good press release. I think it says a lot about the company and what it's able to do for basic businesses, much more advanced businesses. And now it's just a question to see if they can truly scale this across the entire world. So thank you for listening, watching. Please subscribe to dailypalantir.com/subscribe, my newsletter that comes out every single day on Palantir. Would appreciate it. Means the world. Thanks so much for listening, watching. Let me know your thoughts on what you think about this press release, and I'll see you in the next one.